Spain dismantled Austria with a commanding 3-0 victory at SoFi Stadium, and this was a performance that announced the European champions as genuine World Cup contenders. Welcome to FairPlay, Football AI Review. This was a round of 32 knockout tie, and the stakes could not have been clearer. Spain arrived as group winners, having topped their section with 7 points from 3 games, conceding nothing. Austria came in as a team that had not won since beating Jordan in their final group game, carrying a fragile confidence and needing a monumental upset to advance. The pre-match narrative centered on Spain's firepower against an Austrian side that Ralf Rangnick had built carefully over several years. Austria came in off the back of a 3-3 draw with Algeria and a loss to Argentina, and there were real questions about their ability to handle Spain's movement and ball circulation at this level. Luis de la Fuente, meanwhile, had the luxury of a settled, confident squad with no injury concerns listed. Spain set up in a 4-2-3-1, with Unai Simon behind a back four of Pedro Porro, Pau Cubarsí, Aymeric Laporte, and Marc Cucurella. Rodri and Pedri sat as the double pivot, with Dani Olmo in the 10 role, Lamine Yamal and Alex Baena wide, and Mikel Oyarzabal leading the line. De la Fuente's tactical intent was clear: dominate possession, stretch Austria horizontally, and use the fullbacks aggressively to create overloads. Austria also deployed a 4-2-3-1 with Alexander Schläger in goal and a back four of Stefan Posch, David Alaba, Kevin Danso, and Konrad Leimer. Xaver Schläger and Nicolas Seiwald formed the double pivot, with Paul Wanner, Marcel Sabitzer, and Romano Schmid across the midfield three, and Michael Gregorich up front. Rangnick's plan appeared to be compact defensive structure, fast transitions, and using Gregorich as an aerial outlet to relieve pressure. The critical tactical mismatch was in wide areas. Spain's fullbacks, particularly Cucurella on the left, pushed very high, and with Baena and Yamal inverting infield, Austria's wide midfielders were constantly caught between tracking runners and covering the channel. Rodri's ability to dictate rhythm from deep meant Spain could recycle possession endlessly, probing for the gaps that always appeared eventually. Spain controlled the early exchanges with the kind of composed authority that comes from a team that has played together consistently. They circulated the ball through Rodri and Pedri with a pass accuracy that would eventually reach 91%, and Austria struggled to press with any coordinated intensity. The visitors' few early attacks were disorganized and easily read by Cubarsí and Laporte. Around the 30th minute, Spain thought they had broken the deadlock when Cucurella lashed the ball into the net following a corner. The celebration was brief. The referee ruled it out, adjudging that 2 Spanish players had obstructed the Austrian goalkeeper from claiming the cross. It was a contentious call, and the frustration on the Spanish bench was visible. Spain channeled that frustration brilliantly. In the 36th minute, Cucurella delivered a low cross from the left, and Oyarzabal swept it in with a first-time finish of genuine quality. The movement was decisive, the touch immaculate, and it was his 11th goal in his last 10 international appearances, a statistic that underlines just how prolific he has become at this level. Lamine Yamal, just 19 years old, was a constant menace in the first half. He registered 6 shots across the 90 minutes and 4 of those on target, testing Schläger repeatedly. In the opening 45, his directness and willingness to cut inside on his left foot created real anxiety for Austria's right side, and Schläger was called into action on at least 2 occasions to prevent the deficit from deepening. Spain went in at the break 1-0 up, but the scoreline flattered Austria. The XG told a different story even then, Spain generating significant territorial dominance, Austria struggling to register even a credible threat. Rangnick needed a fundamental change, not just tactical tweaks. His side had been outclassed in every phase. Rangnick acted immediately, making a double substitution at half-time. Carney Chukwuemeka replaced Nicolas Seiwald, and Florian Grillitsch came on for Xaver Schläger, who appeared to be grimacing with discomfort. The Austrian manager clearly needed more energy through the middle, but the structural problem, too much space for Spain's fullbacks, remained. Spain came out for the second half with the same composure, and Austria, despite the fresh legs, could not close the gap. The second goal arrived in the 66th minute, and it was a move of real elegance. Alex Baena delivered an excellent ball from the left, and Pedro Porro met it with a well-timed header to score his first goal for the Spanish national team. It was a deserved reward for a right-back who had been relentless throughout. Rangnick made another double change on the hour, bringing on Marko Arnautovic for Gregoric and Sasa Kalajdzic for Romano Schmid. It was a recognition that Austria needed physical presence in the final third and something different to work with. At 2-0 down, there was still a mathematical possibility of a comeback, and Arnautovic's aerial threat was a logical option to target. The 71st minute brought Spain's own double substitution. Mikel Merino replaced Dani Olmo and Ferran Torres came on for Alex Baena. De La Fuente was managing minutes and keeping legs fresh, a luxury afforded by the scoreline. Merino brought physicality to the midfield, while Torres offered a direct option wide. Stefan Posch received a yellow card in the 83rd minute for holding, becoming, according to reports, the 200th booking of this World Cup tournament. It was a neat piece of context, a card that summed up Austria's afternoon, a team reduced to cynical fouls to stop Spain's movement. The decisive moment of the match, and in many ways the one that buried any lingering Austrian hope, came in the 89th minute. Cucurella, for the second time, picked out Oyarzabal with a perfectly weighted delivery from the left. This time Oyarzabal finished with his right foot, demonstrating the composure and two-footedness of a player operating at the very peak of his powers. 3-0, game over, tournament over for Austria. With 64% possession, Spain dominated every metric of ball control. Their 629 passes at 91% accuracy against Austria's 346 at 82% illustrates a team that didn't just have the ball more, they used it far more effectively, recycling quickly and exploiting spaces that Austria's defensive structure consistently failed to close. Spain's attacking output was formidable, and the expected goals data confirms it was entirely merited. An XG of 2.5 against Austria's 0.45 tells you that Spain weren't just winning, they were creating with purpose and quality. 23 total shots, 10 on target, 9 corners, and not a single Austrian shot on target. Unai Simon did not make a save all evening. Defensively, Spain were almost never threatened. Cubarsí and Laporte were imperious, calm, proactive, and rarely tested by an Austrian attack that could only muster 5 shots across 90 minutes. Schlager in the Austrian goal made 6 saves, and the fact that his performance merits discussion at all says everything about how one-sided this contest was. Mikel Oyarzabal was the standout performer for Spain. 2 goals, 4 shots on target from 6 attempts, consistent movement to pull defenders out of shape, and a reading of Cucurella's delivery that made both finishes look almost inevitable. He is now 4 goals for the tournament and operating with the confidence of a man who knows exactly where the next chance is coming from. For Austria, David Alaba deserves credit simply for effort and leadership. He completed 116 passes, the highest of any player on the pitch, and never stopped trying to build from deep and drive his side forward. His assist for what was ultimately Austria's goal in a narrow defeat elsewhere in the group shows his quality. But against Spain, he was carrying a team that couldn't match the challenge. Paul Wanner, one of the more intriguing names in the Austrian setup, was anonymous across 90 minutes. The young midfielder completed just 32 passes without ever threatening to influence proceedings, and his inability to make any impression on Spain's midfield meant Austria had no route to disrupt their rhythm. On a bigger stage, the gap in quality was exposed. Tactically, De La Fuente got everything right. The use of Cucurella as a high-contributing attacking fullback, the intelligence of Baena in finding space before his substitution, and the patient build-up through Rodri and Pedri all reflected a manager who trusted his system completely. Rangnick's tactical adjustments were logical but insufficient. Austria never found a way to make their shape genuinely disruptive. The head-to-head record between these nations remains very much in Spain's favor, and this result continues a pattern of Spanish dominance over Austrian sides at major tournaments. Austria have at times been competitive in qualification settings, but when the knockout stage demands complete performance levels, the gulf has repeatedly shown itself. Spain enter the round of 16 having topped their group with 7 points, a +5 goal difference, and 0 goals conceded. That defensive record is remarkable in a 32-team knockout competition. Their form across the last 10 games, 8 wins and 2 draws, confirms this is not a team riding momentum. This is a team with genuine structural quality. Austria's exit is painful. A 3-3 draw with Algeria, a loss to Argentina, a narrow run through a group they were expected to challenge in, and then a 3-0 dismantling by the best side in Europe. Their form-reading defeat, draw, loss across the period leading into this tournament tells the story of a team that could never sustain consistency. Rangnick's project has moments of real promise, but this result showed the distance still to close. The broader qualification picture is clear. Spain advance as one of the tournament favorites, and their remaining path will be determined by the winner of the corresponding bracket match. With Oyarzabal this sharp, Yamal this direct, and Rodri this composed, whoever comes next will face the same problem Austria could never solve. There is no easy way to hurt this Spanish side, and they will punish you the moment you give them space. Spain will face the winner of match 83 in the next round, and whoever that opponent turns out to be, they will need to solve the Cucurella-Oyarzabal combination that produced 2 goals here, find a way to press Rodri's distribution, and somehow generate more than Austria's 5 shots. That is a significant ask of anyone left in this competition. Spain are not just contenders. They are the team every remaining side wants to avoid. They have the depth to rotate, the system to absorb pressure, and the individual brilliance to decide matches in moments. Oyarzabal with 4 goals for the tournament is a serious weapon. Yamal is growing with every game, and the spine of Simon, Laporte, Rodri, and Pedri gives them a platform that is genuinely tournament-winning quality. Austria, for all Rangnick's admirable long-term work, depart a tournament they couldn't quite crack. The 3-3 draw with Algeria hinted at adventure, the Argentina defeat showed the ceiling, and this 3-0 loss confirmed the reality. Their project continues, but the World Cup is over. This was a masterclass in controlled, purposeful football, Spain at the height of their powers, beautiful in build-up and ruthless in front of goal. More from the 2026 World Cup is coming, and on this evidence, we may be watching the tournament's defining team. Stay with FairPlay for every major moment still to come. That's the FairPlay verdict on this one. If you want more analysis like this, follow us. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at FairPlay.ai, and follow Anthony personally on X at Anthony Fairplay. See you next match.